Hello to all my story lovers. Welcome back in Storytime channel. Today I am reading chapter number 2, Rahman's Avva, from the book The Day When I Stopped Drinking Milk. This is written by the great Sudha Murty. Now let's go through it. Rahman was a young and soft-spoken employee who worked in a BPO. He was also an active volunteer in our foundation. He would not talk without reason and would never boast about his achievements. Rahman was a perfectionist, so any assignment given to him was done exceedingly well. He worked for the foundation on the weekends and was very kind to the children in the orphanage. He spent his own money and always bought sweets for the children. I really like him. Since we work closely together, he learned that I am from North Karnataka, from Dharwad district. My language has that area's accent, and my love for the Dharwad food is very well known. One day, Rahman came and asked me, "Ma'am, if you are free this Sunday, will you come to my house? My mother and sister are visiting me. Incidentally, my mother is also from Dharwad district. My family has read your columns in Kannada and your books too." When I told them that I am working with you, they expressed their earnest desire to meet you. "Is it possible for you to have lunch with us? Will you assure me that I will get a good Dharwad meal?" I joke. "I assure you, ma'am, my mother is a great cook." Come on, Rahman. Every boy gives this compliment to his mother. However bad she may be at cooking, it is the mother's love that makes the food great. "No, she really is an amazing cook. Even my wife said so." "Then she must be really great, because no daughter-in-law praises her mother-in-law's cooking without merit." I smile. "But the way which village in Dharwad district do they come from?" He told me the name of the village near Renebunur that I had never heard of. I happily agreed to visit them for lunch. That Sunday I took some flowers along. Rahman's newly constructed apartment was on Berenghata Road near the zoo. When I entered his home, I met his wife Salma. She was smart and good-looking girl. She worked as a teacher in the kindergarten nearby. Then he called out to his Avva. A mother is usually referred to as Avva in North Karnataka. An old lady with grey hair came out of the kitchen. Rahman introduced her. "This is my mother." I was a bit surprised. She was not quite what I had expected. She was wearing a huge bindi the size of 25 paise coin and an ilkal sari with lots of green bangles on both arms. She kept the sari pallu on her head. She had a contented smile on her face, and with folded hands she said, "Namaste." Rahman's sister entered from another room. She was so different from Rahman. Rahman was fair and very handsome. His sister was tall and dark. She was wearing a cotton sari with a smaller bindi than her mother and also had two gold bangles on her hands. Rahman said, "This is my sister Usha. She stays in Hirekerur. Both her husband and she are school teachers." I felt confused after meeting Rahman's mother and sister. but I did not ask any questions. After I sat down comfortably, Usha said, Madam, we love your stories because we feel connected to them. I teach some of your children's stories at school. Salma also joined the conversation. Even I like them, but my students are too young to understand. Rahman smiled and said, You must be surprised to see my mother and sister. I want to share my story with you. His mother went back to the kitchen and Usha started cleaning the table. Salma went to help her mother-in-law. Only the two of us remained. Ma'am, you must be wondering why my mother and sister are Hindus while I am a Muslim. Only you can understand and appreciate my life story because I have seen you helping people from all religions and communities without bias. I remember your comment to me. We can't choose the community or religion that we are born into. So we should never think that our community is our identity. Rahman paused, then continued, Ma'am, I believe in that too because I have also been brought up that way. I want to share my life and my perspective with you. Rahman started his story. 30 years ago, Kashibai and Datturam live in the outskirts of our village with their 6-month-old daughter Usha. They look after the 10-acre field of their landlord, Shrikant Desai, who live in Bombay. Shrikant only came once a year to collect revenue. The field was very large and it was too much for Kashibai and Datturam to handle. So they requested landlord to get another family to stay with them and help with the field. They also welcomed the thought of having company. Shrikant contracted his acquaintance and found a suitable family. Soon Fatima B and Hussein Saab came to the village. They occupied one portion of the house and the other portion stayed with Kashibai and Datturam. Hussein Saab and Datturam got along very well. However, Kashibai and Fatima B didn't see eye to eye at all. It's not that they were bad women, but their nature were very different. Kashibai was loud, very frank and hardworking. Fatima B was quiet, lazy and introvert. Inevitably, there was a fight. It all started with hen. Kashibai's hen would come to Fatima B's portion of the house and lay eggs. Fatima B wouldn't return the eggs because she thought that her hen had laid them. Kashibai even tried coloring her hen to distinguish it from Fatima B's. Both the ladies share a common well and would fight because both wanted to wash their vessels and clothes almost always at the same time. They also fought about their goats. Fatima B's goats came and ate Kashibai's flowers and leaves, which she used for her puja. Sometimes Kashibai's goat went to Fatima B's place and left their droppings behind. Fatima B wouldn't return the droppings either. What's so great about droppings? I interrupted. Ma'am, goat's droppings are used as a manure. Oh, I understand. Please continue. I urged Rahman. The fights continued and sometimes Kashibai felt that she had made a mistake to tell their landlord that they wanted neighbors. She felt that she had been very happy without Fatima B. Fatima B also wanted to leave the farm and go to some other village, but Hussein Saab didn't agree. He would say, "You women fight about unnecessary things. This is a good opportunity for us to make money. The land is fertile and there is a plenty of water. Our landlord is good and hardly visits. We can easily grow vegetables. Where can I get such work nearby? You should also become active like Kashibai and drop your ego. Try to adjust with her." The same conversation would happen on the other side of the house. Datturam would tell his wife, "Don't be so aggressive, you should mellow down like Fatima. Though she is lazy, she is good natured." But as usual, both women never listened to their husbands. As time went by, Kashibai's daughter Usha turned 2 years old. Fatima B loved children and enjoyed seeing Usha play in the field. Fatima B liked henna a lot. Every month she colored her hand with henna from the plant in the field, and Usha always joined her. Usha was fascinated with the beautiful orange color. She would come home and tell her mother, "Why can't you also color your hand like Fatima Kaku?" Kaku is equivalent to aunt in the local language. This comment irritated Kashibai. She said Fatima can afford to color her hands because her husband works and also helps in the kitchen. She sits on the bed and listens to the radio. "If I do that, will your father come and work in the kitchen?" Fatima B would overhear their conversation, but still she continued her friendship with little Usha. When Fatima became pregnant, she became even lazier. She eventually reached full term, and a distant relative came to help Fatima with her delivery. A few days later, there was a festival in the village, and Datturam and his family went to attend it. When they came back, Fatima B was not there. She was already in the hospital in a critical condition and had delivered a son. The house was in complete silence, but the silence was deafening to Kashibai's ear. She started crying. She was very sad because Fatima B was in the hospital in such a serious condition. The next day, they learned that Fatima B was no more. Hussain Saab was left with his newborn son. The midwife stayed for a month and left. It was an uphill task for Hussain Saab to look after a small baby. Neither Hussain Saab nor Fatima B had any relatives who could take care of the little one. Most of them were coolies, and a newborn child would only be a burden to the relatives. Datturam was very sympathetic and allowed Hussain Saab to work less in the field, but taking care of a small baby alone is very difficult. One night, the child started crying non-stop, and Kashibai could not take it. She felt that enough was enough. After all, it was a little baby. A woman is so different from a man when it comes to rearing a child. Her motherly instinct made her go next door and tap on Hussain Saab's door without even waiting for her husband. When Hussain Saab opened the door, she told him, "Hussain Saab, give me the baby. I am a mother. I know how to handle him." She picked up the baby boy and held him in her pallu and brought him to her house, holding him tightly to her chest. The baby boy stopped crying immediately. For the first time since the baby was born, Hussain Saab slept through the night comfortably. The next day, Kashibai told Hussain Saab, "I will look after this child until you get married again. Don't worry." She forgot her enmity with Fatima B and even felt ashamed. She thought that she should have been nicer to Fatima B. Now Kashibai did not even bother about where the droppings of the goats fell or where the hens laid their eggs. For her, looking after the baby was more important. The baby was named Rahman, and to everyone's surprise, Hussain Saab did not remarry. Rahman grew up in Kashibai's house and started calling her Avva, and Usha became his Akka. Rahman continued to sleep in his father's house, but as soon as the sun rose, he ran to Kashibai's house to get ready. While Usha bathed on her own, Kashibai bathed the little Rahman. She gave them breakfast, packed their lunches, and walked them to school. Though Usha was 2 years older than Rahman, Kashibai made sure that they studied in the same class. Kashibai worked in the field in the afternoon and brought the children back in the evening. Hussein Saab cooked Rahman's dinner, and Rahman would go back and sleep with his father at night. This continued for 10 years. When Rahman was 10 and Usha was 12 years old, Hussein Saab fell ill and all his savings were spent on his treatment. Meanwhile, Kashibai purchased 2 she-buffaloes and started a milk business. She started earning more money than her husband. That same year, Hussein Saab died of tuberculosis. Rahman was left all alone. There were hardly any people at Hussein Saab's burial. A distant uncle came and told the mullah that he would take care of Rahman. But when the time came to take Rahman away, the uncle did not turn up at all. Without a second thought, Datturam and Kashibai took him in. Rahman was happy to stay in Kashibai's house. Kashibai was very conscious about Rahman's religion. Every Friday she sent him for namaz, and on holidays she sent him for Quran class at the local mosque. She told him to participate in all Muslim festivals even though there were very few Muslims in the village. Rahman also took part in the Hindu festivals celebrated in his house. Datturam and Kashibai bought 2 cycles for both the kids. Rahman and Usha cycled to high school, and later they also rode their cycles to the college. Eventually, they graduated, and that day Kashibai told Rahman, "Unfortunately, we don't have a picture of your parent. So turn towards Makkah and pray to Allah. Pray to Fatima B and Hussein Saab. They will bless you. You are now grown up and independent. Usha is getting married next month. My responsibility to both Usha and you is now over." Kashibai's affection and devotion overwhelmed Rahman, who could not remember his own mother's face. He prayed to Allah and his parents and then touched Kashibai's feet. He said, "Avva, you are my Ammi. You are my Makkah." Rahman got a job in BPO in Bangalore and left home. He worked for different firms for a few years and grew in his career and started earning a good salary. He met Salma at friend's wedding and fell in love with her. After getting Kashibai and Datturam's approval, he got married to Salma. When he finished his story, Rahman was very emotional and in tears. I was amazed at Kashibai. She was uneducated but far advanced in human values. I was surprised and humbled by the largeness of her heart. Kashibai had raised the boy with his own religion and still loved him like her son. By this time, lunch was ready and Usha invited me to eat. While having the delicious lunch, I asked Usha, "What made you decide to visit here?" "I have holidays at school and I took an extended vacation so I could come for Panchami." Panchami is the festival celebrated mostly by girls, particularly married women, who come to their brother's house. It is similar to the Rakhi festival in the month where a brother acknowledges his sister's love. I recall our history and remember that Queen Karunavati had sent a Rakhi to Emperor Humayun seeking his protection. Now I look at the wall in the dining room and for the first time I noticed 2 pictures in the Rahman's house, one of the Makkah and other of the Krishna, both hanging side by side. Do you like this experience? Then share with your friends. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe our channel.